Today's video is the best makeup of 2022, according to me. I do this every year to gather all of my absolute faves from the year. I always go back in my previous videos and make sure I'm not forgetting things that I used before that I liked and just getting excited about things that I've recently purchased. So this is a really good roundup of 2022, and we're gonna start from primer all the way to the end of the products that I used the most this year, that I enjoyed the most this year, really created the most looks with. I usually skip priming my skin, but for the sake of every single category getting checked off, I want to use a primer today. Look, Makeup Hydro Grip Set and Refreshing Spray before my foundation and after. It's a little luxurious moisturizing moment, kind of refreshes the feeling of your skin. You don't need this to help prolonging of the wear of the foundation I'm going to use today, but I really do enjoy this makeup setting spray for before and after. It's just a little nice treat. I always say that it's really important to expect your foundations to do the big job, especially when you're paying high-end prices. You shouldn't have to use a primer and turn a $50 foundation into a $100 foundation. So again, to me, prepping the skin for makeup application, whether I'm applying it on myself or other people. Now I have a roundup of my favorite foundations of 2022, so if you'd like to see that video, I will link it. It was really difficult for me to choose one, but out of all of my favorites, which I think I had like 8 to 10 favorites that I had to mention, there was a lot of good releases. I feel like personally on my dry skin, this one looked just a little bit better than the rest, but still all of them were incredible. It was such a hard decision. But I chose to use the YSL All Hours foundation today. They reformulated this. I have a full review on it if you would like to see it. It lasts all day until you take it off, and it looks like you just applied it, the entirety of the wear time, and I just think it looks lovely all over the face. And I'm using the shade LW7. It does have a little bit of fragrance in it, which isn't my favorite part of this foundation, but it dissipates in just a couple minutes and you don't smell it. Is it good for your skin to have fragrance? No, but it's not an absolute make or break, when it comes to foundation, unless it's just really overwhelming and it's one of the main ingredients. My favorite cream bronzer of 2022, hands down, has to be the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun Kissed Glow Bronzer. This is the shade 1 Fair. You also get a very large mirror you could actually do your makeup in when you travel. And I really do like the brush that you can purchase to use with the bronzer. If you have a kabuki brush or whatever at home already, you don't need this brush. It is really nice to move the product around on the face and body with, and it doesn't disturb foundations that are underneath. If you are as fair as I am, the fair shade is such a good in-between of a contour and bronzer shade, so you can quickly apply this and not have to use a contour shade and a bronze shade. And again, it doesn't transfer on clothes, so you can use this like on your legs or any place you want a little bit of warmth, like down the neck, to match your face when you're transitioning to your winter shades. I was going through all of my products. I realized the one I used the most and really enjoyed using the most was the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer blushes. I loved mixing these. I loved layering these all year since they came out. They're extremely pigmented, and I chose the shade that I used the most, which is Corsica. It's a really nice deep peach, bronzed peach, and a little goes a long way. That's actually probably too much, but they look beautiful mixed and layered with other blushes and things like that. But Corsica is such a pretty, just, burnt peach, and I like taking it up on my dark circles to cancel out the darkness before I apply my concealer. And you can build the Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer blushes up. So start out with just a little bit and you can build it up. And my favorite concealer of 2022 is, shockingly enough, not YSL, Hourglass. Oh God, I am really mixing up those names. It's not Hourglass Vanish Concealer that I've used for years. This is new. It launched in 2022 and it blew my mind. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Radiant Concealer. This concealer is incredible. I've talked about it for some time now, but it has lighter coverage. It can be built up, but because it looks so nice on the under eyes, especially if you have fine lines, a little dryness, it kind of just looks like it erases that, and it melds with the skin so well. It almost looks like you're not wearing anything. So I would rather have that look than more coverage. So I've really been reaching for this concealer the most this year since I purchased this. And this was a later in the year purchase for me, but it is such a strong product that it kind of just blew every other concealer that I used this year out of the water. And it layers well. The Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer layers well with all different types of foundations. I feel like I have used Beautiful Skin Concealer with a lot of my favorite foundations this year, and it looks really good with different finishes, like a radiant finish to a completely matte finish foundation, because sometimes concealers don't always play well with different formulations of foundations. For pressed powder, it was such a easy choice. Dior Backstage Face and Body Powder No Powder, and this is in the shade Zero Neutral. It did hard pan on me, but I feel like the Dior Backstage powder really just looks like skin, and it sets all different types of concealer formulations, so I know I can rely on it no matter what concealer I choose to wear. All the imperfections sort of disappear, and it looks good all over the face, not just under the eyes. For loose powder, I am a girl who loves to bake, so if you aren't, you can skip this step, but I love to bake, and I love the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. So when Laura Mercier launched their tone up powder with a bit of a pink tint to it, it was a really big game changer for my baking game, because the pink cancels out any darkness that hasn't been covered, and because it's Laura Mercier loose powder formula, it looks really good on the skin, and it also further blurs pores and fine lines. And I always set my concealer with a pressed powder before I bake. I think a lot of people who say that baking doesn't work for them, or it just kind of lifts their concealer up or makes them look drier under the eyes. Really, it sounds counterintuitive, but if you powder with pressed powder before you go in and bake, it prevents any of that. It is time to wipe the bake off, and we're going to go into my most used and favorite eyeshadow palette of the year, which was actually, it was like kind of difficult because I got a couple of new eyeshadow palettes recently. I was like, no girl, we got to go with what you used the most and really enjoyed the most this year, formula wise, color wise, all of it. I chose the Tom Ford Cream Color for Eyes in the shade Smoky Quartz, and I want to do kind of a really nice warm smoky eye with this today, but also dive into one of the new shades of the palette, the Velours Khaki. I picked this up at the most recent Sephora sale, and it's kind of like a nice deepened neutral green type of eyeshadow palette, so I want to use this really nice green shade here to smoke out my eyeliner. They do look beautiful together, but I obviously used this one more, the Smoky Quartz eyeshadow palette, more than the Velours Khaki, because I just recently got this one. So we're just going to be using the warmer shades in this palette. I'm going to start with this shade right here and kind of just blow out my crease a little, and then we're going to smoke it up. The formula of the Tom Ford Cream Color for Eyes really blew my mind this year. I can't believe when I purchased this, it was actually this year, but it was at another Sephora sale because why not get Tom Ford on sale, you know what I mean? But the formula I thought was cream eyeshadow. I thought it was like a cream, and I was like, who would want a quad full of just cream eyeshadows for, you know, $90? It's not something that I would reach for. And then you guys were like, no, 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 it's powder shadows, but because they're so smooth, they look almost like a cream shadow, and they're very skin-like, and that is all very, very true. So that's why I really reached for the Tom Ford Cream Color for Eyes in Smoky Quartz constantly. Precision brush, and I'm just bringing that all the way into the inner corner. I'm gonna go ahead and take this shade right here on the same fluffy brush, the Rephr 15, and I'm gonna just dust that over my eyelid and into the crease. Now that I have the shape kind of mapped out, we can get a little messy and smoky. I'm going to be using my favorite eyeliner of the year, and that is the Charlotte Tilbury, such a long name, the Super Nudes Liner Duo Enhanced Magnifier and the Bright Illuminator. And this is in the shade Hollywood Exaggerate. I don't know, it's such a long name. I'm using the dark end here, and I'm going to line my waterline and then kind of shape out the liner that I want. And I'm going to just take this and extend it out from where my two water lines meet. And I'm going to take that same Rephr 02. I think actually, I'm changing my mind. I think I'm going to go in with the warm one because Smoky Quartz is so warm. I'm just going to smudge this outward and slightly upward. And I'm taking that Rephr 15 with the other shades on it, and I'm blending out and back into the crease whatever is left on the outer part of the eye of the green shade from Velour's Khaki. So I feel like this eyeshadow palette has been calling to me, so honorable mention, recent purchase, but I absolutely love this eyeshadow palette. The Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. I really enjoy using this, and if any eyeshadow formula is close to the Tom Ford cream color for eyes, it would be Makeup by Mario's eyeshadow palettes. The matte one is beautiful. I love that eyeshadow palette, and the metallic one is beautiful, but the Ethereal Eyes is just like the perfect blend of incredible shimmers that actually do look like eyeglosses. Now you could totally leave the look matte and it would be beautiful, but I always get tempted to use some sort of shimmer and glitter, so I'm gonna go for it because this really has become an eyeshadow palette that I reach for nearly every time that I apply makeup. I mean, it truly looks like an eyegloss almost, and I am so tempted, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use the same shade on the Rephr 02, and I'm just gonna dab this on the very center of my lower lash line, just so there's that same eye-catching shimmer on the lower lash line as well. I had a bit of a tie this year. The Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water mascara was an extreme favorite, and so was the Clio Cosmetics Kill Lash. I feel like these two mascaras were just as good as each other. I want to use the Come Hell or High Water mascara today just because it's a little bit glossier black, so I want to use this with this type of eye look. But the Clio Kill Lash that I raved about this year is still so incredible. It has more of a matte, deep black velvety finish to it, but the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water has a little bit of gloss there. Both mascaras are tubing mascaras, so you can get a lot of length, and they don't smudge because they're tubing mascaras. They really only come off with hot water. And if you smudge the mascara on your eyelid a little bit, you can just wait for it to dry and just flick it right off with a spoolie or a Q-tip. That's another big perk about both of these mascaras. Oh, I wanted to mention, I totally forgot. I pulled this last night when I was prepping for this video, and I decided not to use it, but my favorite liquid liner of 2022 was the Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes liquid liner. This doesn't smudge. I can apply this to my lash band if I wear false lashes, and it doesn't smudge and get on my lids. It lasts all day, and I really reached for this a lot to even do like winged liner and things like that. I just think this eyeshadow look really stands on its own with the shimmer now that we've chosen to apply, so I'm going to skip this step. But this liquid liner was hands down my favorite. It's a really kind of user-friendly liquid liner. It is a brush tip, and you can just get really nice precision. And the harder you press, the thicker you can make the line, or you can just, you know, you can really see the precision there, and I have like really shaky hands, so it's really nice to find a liquid liner that's easy to use. For powder bronzer, I have to mention, because I like to layer my makeup, I like to use cream products and then use a powder product on top to kind of underpaint and then, you know, bring out any tones after I've done the rest of my makeup with the powder products. So you can totally skip this step. You can just, this is fine. I just like to build up product slowly. So my favorite powder bronzer of 2022 was definitely the M Cosmetics Corselet Sculpting Powder Bronzer. This is formulated almost like a pressed setting powder, so it blurs, it just makes the skin look so smooth, and the powder itself is just so finely milled that it ends up looking like skin. And my shade is the shade Slip. It is the, I believe it's the fairest shade you can purchase. And I really like going back over any cream bronzers with this bronzer, just to kind of connect my eyeshadow and then kind of deepen up any areas that I want to contour a little more. I really still love my Laura Mercier bronzer, but this really does, the formula really kind of blows the Laura Mercier one out of the water just because it is so soft and silky. My favorite powder blush this year is one that's new to me. I don't use Bare Minerals products, so some of them break me out. Bare Mineral, I can't even say it today. The Bare Minerals Gin Nude Blonzer. It's a blush and bronzer in one. This is the shade Kiss of Rose. I have another shade. This is the one that I reached for the most. It really, really kind of took over the spots of the other powder blushes that I loved using this year, and it gives you such a nice glow. And because it has that tone of a blush and a bronzer, it really meshes with any bronzer that you apply. The cream highlight that I used the most and enjoyed the most of 2022, my Dream Cheek Trio, but this cream bronzer, a cream highlight is the one. I also love the Charlotte Tilbury light wands. You know, I don't like the packaging. If you don't, the packaging is terrible. I got to take off those little spongy tips that you guys keep telling me to take it off, and it just like squeezes out. So I still need to do that. I love that one. And the Rare Beauty liquid luminizers. Put this little guy here in the middle of this palette that I believe is limited edition, which is a shame. It's just such a nice, creamy, like mirror-like type cream highlight. It looks like skin, blends really easily with other products that you have on your face. Powder highlight, best of 2022, the Hatise Schmidt Labs highlight in the shade Fair. This highlighter is so stunning. The shade Fair is more of like a icy champagne shift, and it looks beautiful on its own, but really beautiful over the Natasha Denona highlight. And there's just something about it that stands out. Look at that. Right, so here's just the Natasha Denona, and then here's Hatise's highlight in Fair. It's also very mirror-like, so it doesn't look like you have a bunch of shimmer on your face. Okay, I gotta stop with this because I'm about to go way, way, way overboard, but I don't mind. I have dry skin, so looking hydrated isn't the worst thing. I have select few lip liners that I rotate all the time, and then I have to remind myself to use new ones, and this is one of those ones that I reminded myself to use, and it ended up being my favorite liner of 2022 because it goes with warm undertone nude shades and cooler undertone nude shades. It's almost like the perfect contour for fair skin lips, but people with fair skin. It is Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Anywhere Caffeine, and the really cool thing about Makeup Forever's Artist Pencils is they can be used on the eyes as well, so you can get a really great cohesive look. But this lip liner is just the perfect contour shade. And now I'm just gonna blend this with my finger, and it's so soft. Favorite lipstick of the year. This was very difficult, and I almost was like, oh, I'll just swatch a bunch of them. No, I wanted to say no. That gets overwhelming, and this is my absolute favorite lipstick of the year and has been a favorite shade of mine for a long time when it had its previous name. It is Charlotte Tilbury's Kissing Lipstick in the shade Yes Honey. It used to be called Hepburn Honey, Audrey Hepburn, and I owned that version of it and repurchased it this year and didn't set it down. I used it a lot. It's just such a really unique, warm, almost yellow undertoned nude, and it's so kind of yellow undertone that it makes anywhere caffeine look a little pinky. For lip gloss of 2022, my favorite is a new formula. It is the M Cosmetics Everglass Lip Dew lip glosses. These were hands down my most reached for lip glosses of 2022. They feel like a weightless type of, almost like a lip oil, but really, really lightweight. And they have skincare in there. I chose for this lip combo today the shade Dream. This is a really kind of light, vibrant peach. And the applicator is wonderful. I'll show you in a second. Applicator is shaped perfectly for the lips. The way it's bent, you can use it on this side or the flat side here and get really nice precision application. Finish everything off, I want to use my favorite setting spray of the year. It is Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray. She's back in the video. You do have to watch. There's some sprays that if you don't spray it all the way, it kind of tends to want to splatter in some spots that are kind of large splatters. So if you don't press this into the skin, which I recommend doing with setting sprays anyway, if you don't press it into the skin, it can spot your makeup. This is the final look using all of my favorite products from this year. I had a lot of fun filming this. I hope you guys had fun watching it. I have my favorite foundations of 2022 already up, as well as my complexion coverage product favorites from 2022. That I believe is already up. So let us know in the comments what your favorites from each category are, if you want to take the time to do that, or just a couple of your all-time favorites that you used this year. Leave those in the comments and we would love to read them. I find a lot of good products through you guys. Thank you so much for watching and spending another year in beauty and hair and makeup and life with me on this channel. It has been quite a year. I feel like we had a lot of great releases, makeup releases this year, and I hope that continues in 2023. Who knows what the world will be like in 2023, especially in the beauty industry. A lot of makeup brands, we lost them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.
All right.